moved to Boston. I don't really know what else to say. I'm not as good at making videos about myself as I used to be. I'm mostly talented in the book and Zillow realm, but basically I just wanted to give a little life update that I moved from Raleigh to Boston. If you watched my last video about my 10 goals for moving to Raleigh, North Carolina, you may recall that I work for a company that is sending me to 3 different locations over the course of 2 years for 8 months at a time to try 3 different roles and determine one career from them. And I am now at the beginning of my second rotation. So I was doing R&D in Raleigh, and now I'm doing inside sales here in Boston, Massachusetts. I decided to go with inside sales for my second rotation because I'm very uncomfortable talking to people. I love people, they're my favorite thing, but I get like butterflies in my stomach when I have to interact with them. I think a lot of people are like that. I'm no exception. A lot of people aren't like that. I'm trying to confront that little butterfly stomach fear through self-prescribed exposure therapy. And inside sales was the best way that I could get to that. And so far, this is only my second week on the job, but I have been quite impressed with how much I like it. I thought that it would be a strain to do something non-technical, and I've actually enjoyed it quite a bit. So we'll see where it goes. Maybe I'll head back to the technical realm, not to the technical realm. We'll find out. We'll find out. But along with that role, love it or list it, comes a bustling city and a very expensive, albeit tiny apartment at the heart of that city, and I couldn't be more excited after all the work I put into moving from North Carolina to here to show it off. Now, I'm really spoiled because the company that I work for, in addition to my base salary, gives me a living stipend while I'm in this program if I live in a zone where the cost of living is higher than the average cost of living. And that is the case here. Certainly Boston, I believe, is now just past San Francisco is the second most expensive city in the United States. But I was able to get an apartment in the 02116. Holler at ya! And so yeah, I'm right here off of Boston Common between the Boylston stop for the Green Line and the Chinatown stop for the Orange Line. I don't think there's a much better positioning in the city because I'm very centrally located and I can get to anywhere I want to go, including my job, with a quick little ride on the T. What that means is I didn't have to bring my car here, and I didn't. I drove it across the country with my dad and my buddy Tony instead. And when I didn't have to park here, I didn't have to pay $255 a month, which is the average cost of parking in the city of Boston. And so I got to avoid that whole trap and also put a little bit more money towards where I was living instead of how I was going to get from one place to another. Because I can get anywhere on this line, this line, this line, this line, or these lines. And heck, I still get to max out my Roth IRA and get my 401k matching this year. So I feel like I kind of got me a deal. In terms of contrasting Raleigh and Boston, the main advantage between Raleigh and Boston is the speed. If you're a young person, this is your city, right? This and New York and maybe LA, maybe San Francisco, maybe Seattle. But there's such a vibe of life. Everybody's moving around, doing things, grabbing stuff, eating things, drinking things, whatever the heck they're doing. It's all happening right here. There's 30 higher education institutions, which means there's smart people who are way smarter than me, right? We got Harvard, we got MIT. I could throw a stone through a window and it would be a mile away from MIT. Speaking of stone's throws, I live within a stone's throw of like 1 million coffee shops that are open late, which is great for me because I got to write YouTube video scripts. I write short stories. I like reading, right? These are all things that I had to do within the comforts of my own home when I lived in Raleigh because everything closed at a certain time. But here, I'm unbounded by time. There's so many options for me that are close, far, whatever the heck, that have great hours where I can just go and chill out to be alone or socially with other people. I don't really know how I'm going to leave in 8 months. Honestly, if we're putting all the cards down, it's my second week here. and I have no idea how I'm going to be able to force myself to leave to do my third rotation. So we'll see about that. What do you guys think? You ready for a little apartment tour? Because we're doing it right the heck now. Okay, so I'm recording some phone video and walking around and then doing a voiceover after the fact, in case you're wondering how this is all playing out. You're probably not, but it's important to me that you know. So, here we've walked through the door and you're seeing almost all of it. It's a tiny little one-bedroom apartment. If you turn immediately left, you'll be in what I like to call the throne room. It has a tub shower combo, mosaic tile floors, a single vanity, and a mirror with some storage. And of course, my beloved Billy Mouth Bass from my grandfather. If you keep chugging instead of turning left, you will find yourself in the kitchen, also known as le living room. This apartment kind of takes the open floor plan approach, and I don't have a kitchen table. I eat in front of the TV like the peasant that I am, but I'm looking for one. It just has to be small enough to kind of fit in here without making it an inconvenience to get to the living room. So it's going to go right here. I'll have two little chairs, a little bistro style table, and that will probably pull the rest of this space together. But I'm not going to settle for something. I want to get something a little old, a little antique to kind of fit the vibe of the place. So for right now, nothing. Now, the kitchen has composite cabinets and an MDF countertop. That's probably the ugliest part of this apartment. It's seen some wear. But I also have full appliances. That's an upgrade from my Raleigh apartment, which lacked a microwave, it lacked a dishwasher, but it was over twice the size of this apartment and for half the rent. So pros, cons, trade-offs. And then if you just turn around, whatever direction you're facing, eventually you'll find the living area, which I've furnished with a fake but still costly artisan rug, a little TV stand, a TV, a chair, a love seat, my fire hydrant end table. Now, I've always had this TV, but when I moved to Raleigh, I actually left it in the box, and I went without a TV for 8 months to see if it would help me do more and consume less. Now, the experiment failed because I ended up watching as much television as I did when I had a TV set up, but instead I did it on my phone or my laptop, and now instead of continuing to try and tackle my consumption addiction, I'm beginning to accept that I might not be the prolific creator that I always dreamed I would be, and just kind of leaning into the consumption economy. Now finally, we enter a bedroom that I feel could not fit all 7 of Snow White's dwarves, but that's perhaps because I needed to function as both a bedroom and an office for making these videos. When I moved, I wanted to do a big boy thing and upgrade from a single bed to a full-size bed. I know, right? But I'm not entirely confident that that would work in here because I have to have space behind my desk for the lights and the camera. If I can find some other way to arrange it that I can push the desk more up against the wall, I think I could pull the trigger on it. But for now, my college single bed remains. You might have noticed one thing severely lacking in this apartment, and that is storage. I do not put a ton of effort into my personal style, so I don't actually need much room for clothes. However, I do a lot of arts and crafts projects, and I have an unreasonable collection of tools for a human of my age, and they all must fit in this here closet, which aside from the kitchen cabinets and under the bathroom sink, is the only storage I've got. And all the other things are jam-packed. So my tools, my clothes, the miscellaneous, it all fits into this closet, which is actually pretty big, and they've done a good job fitting it with storage, but still it feels like not enough. Maybe I was spoiled in my Raleigh apartment. I had like 6 different closets. As for heating and cooling, I have these 2 built-in wall units. I haven't needed to turn them on since I've gotten here because the place has been the perfect temperature since I moved in. Hoping it stays that way for a long time because I'm sure that turning these on factors into my electric bill. I haven't got my first electric bill yet, but Boston, I have to imagine it's going to be expensive. Now, as I mentioned, I'm right next to Boston Common, but you wouldn't know it because I'm on the back side of my building, and my 2 windows have a southern exposure, but they look into the hallway of another building. I don't really mind that. I get enough light. I don't need a view. I have a pretty view when I walk out of doors. And I also had a pretty view in my Raleigh apartment that I never looked out of, so I figure why pay for it? And I don't really yearn to impress others with the features of my apartment, so that wasn't a factor either. Now down to the brass tacks. This apartment costs a little over $2,000, in case you're wondering, and if you are appalled at that number, I am too, but recall the classic realtor saying, location, location, location. This place was a steal for where it's located, with full appliances, and Boston is the third or second most expensive city in the United States. And the only way I could have gotten a place anywhere near where I am within this city for less was to live with a roommate or to downgrade to a studio, and neither of these options really appealed to me. With the living stipend, without the parking cost, and with an electrical engineer's salary, I'm able to swing it and meet my savings goals. And that's kind of it. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment if you found something about this interesting, you had a question about something that you saw in my apartment. I'll talk about anything with you except for probably finances, because I've shared all I want to on that point. Drop a like if you like this kind of more personal style walkthrough video. Maybe I'll make some more in the future. And subscribe if you aren't already, because I'm making stuff about this, I'm making stuff about books, I'm making stuff about Zillow. You never know what's going to come to your inbox. I don't follow a strict schedule. The only way to know if I've posted is to subscribe. And until next time, cheers.